We're counting down my top 50 favorite movies, and we're getting closer to number 1. Welcome to part 4. Number 20, Night of the Living Dead. I already did a review on this movie around Halloween, so I'll be brief. A group of people gather together in an abandoned farmhouse when an onslaught of the undead starts encircling. This movie totally turned me away from horror movies when I first saw it as a little kid. But watching it again, it's without a doubt a classic. George A. Romero is a genius. He creates so much suspense and atmosphere with a minuscule budget. It's also a character study, as they all need to work together to survive, but they keep arguing. Great writing, great themes, and a great title. An overall great movie. Number 19, The Woman in Black. Again, another film I just recently did a review for. Daniel Radcliffe plays a lawyer in early 20th century Britain, assigned to take care of the Drablow estate, which he soon discovers is haunted. This is the most recently made film on this list, and in the time between this video and the review I did for it, I have seen it again. And it is still just as haunting and shocking. Good old Hammer for you. Lots of fog and eerie lighting. Good suspense build-ups to spectacular payoffs. Great writing and great acting. Number 18, Halloween. Okay, this is the last film I've done a previous review on, I swear. The king of the slasher villains, Michael Myers, escapes from his mental institution and returns to Haddonfield, Illinois to wreak havoc and terror on Halloween night. Inspired by Psycho, Halloween has become the quintessential slasher film. It has been ripped off countless times. The style, the atmosphere, the filming, the music, is all perfected in Halloween, even though a certain franchise completely ripped it off and has become just as popular. Only difference is that Halloween doesn't need gore to be scary, and of course we all hail the Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis in her film debut. I'd highly recommend you stay away from the sequels, though. It's kind of a shame. Halloween invented most of the cliches for slasher films, and in having so many sequels that get progressively worse, it itself has become a cliche. But oh well. A downright hauntingly awesome piece of cinematic history. Number 17, The Dark Knight. Christian Bale plays Bruce Wayne, the richest man in Gotham City, whose crime-fighting alter ego is the mysterious Batman. Soon anarchy ensues throughout the city when a criminal called Joker, played by Heath Ledger, breaks the system in a violent hunt for the Dark Knight himself. That's a relatively basic synopsis for the film, but really I need to fill up the 10-minute time limit to discuss the whole plot. Heath Ledger does a phenomenal job as the Joker. Every little quirk and maniacal laugh just leaves you in awe of his fractured psychosis. Rest his soul, Ledger passed away just as production finished. The film was shot in multiple locations, but most notably is Chicago. It is beautifully shot, and each pulse-pounding action sequence just highlights it. This film leaves you breathless, because just as you think it's wrapping up, it starts back up again. And even if you don't like superhero films, there's something you can enjoy in it. I'm so psyched for the new Batman movie coming out, because after this they can't let us down. Number 16, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Professor Henry Jones, more commonly referred to as Indiana, is played by Harrison Ford. What he does is collect ancient relics for a museum that his friend Marcus, played by Denholm Elliott, works for. A new challenge arises when Indy is sent to find the Lost Ark of the Covenant, which is also being hunted down by the Nazis, and the adventure starts from there. This is one of the movies that got me interested in filmmaking. Everything is top-notch. The acting, the filming, the writing, this is definitely Spielberg's finest work. But what amazes me is that this is a relatively B-movie type film. It's just typical Spielberg. Take a B-movie plot and add a A-movie budget. There's nothing wrong with these movies. Well, Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull were iffy, but that's beside the point. Raiders is the definition of an engaging action-adventure epic. Number 15, Toy Story. A classic childhood belief that when you aren't around, your toys come to life. Tom Hanks does the voice of Woody, a pull-string cowboy doll who crosses paths with Buzz Lightyear, a top-of-the-line, brand-new spaceman action figure voiced by Tim Allen. Both compete for their owner Andy's attention and end up getting lost at a gas station. It soon becomes clear they'll have to work together to get home. This is the best animated film ever made. There's no competition. Not only that, but it's a milestone for animation itself. No feature-length CGI film had ever been made until Pixar completed Toy Story. Hanks and Alan are fantastic voice actors, and every character is lovable in their own way, much like the differences between the toys children own. I've loved this movie since I was literally 1 year old, and it's the only animated movie I know of that has 2 sequels that don't suck or get worse. In fact, they stay at the same caliber as the original. And I can't wait for the day when I can share this sentimental film with my children. Number 14, Airplane. Ted Stryker, played by Robert Hayes, is a former Vietnam fighter pilot with PTSD. He tries to pursue his fleeing love, Elaine, played by Julie Haggerty, but to do that he must conquer his fear and board a plane to Chicago. On board, food poisoning breaks out throughout the whole cabin, and it soon becomes apparent that Stryker's experiences might be needed. After numerous disaster films being churned out in the 1970s, Airplane comes along and makes fun of all of them, in particular the airport films. The drama is played so over the top that you can't help but laugh. The one-liners are delivered to be so cheesy that you could stir in macaroni with them, and Leslie Nielsen's performance as a doctor on the plane is by far one of the funniest things I've ever to be witnessed in a motion picture. One of the many goofball comedies to be directed by Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker, Airplane will make anyone laugh. Probably. Number 13, The Naked Gun, from the Files of the Police Squad. Leslie Nielsen plays Frank Drebin, an officer who works for Police Squad. When his partner, played by O.J. Simpson, is shot numerous times, Drebin picks up the case and is soon led to a plot that could involve hypnosis and Ricardo Montalban as the villain. It was a toss-up between Airplane and Naked Gun, but Naked Gun definitely takes the cake. Again created by Abrahams, Zucker, and Zucker, this film is based off of a short-lived TV series that the trio and Leslie Nielsen created. Nielsen, once again, is nothing short of a comedic genius, in delivering each line with such blatant seriousness no matter how goofy it is. This parodies everything about cop films and hard-boiled detective novels perfectly, and I can't help but laugh whenever I see it. Number 12, First Blood. Sylvester Stallone is in his iconic role as John Rambo. Rambo comes to Washington to visit a war friend, but discovers he has passed away, leaving Rambo alone. When he wanders into a small town, he's picked up by an overzealous cop played by Brian Dennehy, and is arrested for vagrancy. But when he is imprisoned, he flashes back to the POW camps in Vietnam and uses his training to escape, from which he heads to the mountains. I discussed this film briefly in my Rambo Mega review, so I won't dwell on it for long. Stallone is the best. I mean, he's my favorite, and this one pushes his acting abilities and kick-ass strength to the limit. Every time I hear Jerry Goldsmith's score, I want to go hide in the woods and smear mud all over myself. Pretty visual, I know. I also like how this isn't a complete over-the-top action film, but more like a suspense thriller. So if you don't like action films, this one's a great alternative, and sure to leave an impact. Number 11, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller, played by Matthew Broderick, is a senior in high school who plans the perfect day of skipping school. He brings along his truly sick friend Cameron, played by Alan Ruck, and breaks his girlfriend out of the school, played by Mia Sara, and dash about Chicago, trying not to get busted by the principal, played by Jeffrey Jones, or Ferris's parents. This is one of those movies I remember watching snippets of with my family when it was on TV once. It is probably the best teen movie ever made and a pinnacle of 80s pop culture. I absolutely loved the Ferris-themed Super Bowl commercial this year. That was the best. This movie has great music and outrageous gags and comedy, and all the while you root for the hero, who is fooling everyone around him. That concludes this part, but don't go too far because we're in the home stretch now. Come back and we'll be counting down my top 10 favorite films.